Looking for a TV that actually sounds like a soundbar snuck inside it? Stick around, because by the end, the best one might just surprise you. Today's countdown is all about sound, rich voices, room-filling effects, and bass that doesn't give up at the first explosion. We're ranking 5 TVs from 5 to 1 for their built-in audio, reviewing their real-world strengths and quirks, and well, sharing the moments where they stumbled. By the end, there's a clear don't need a soundbar winner, but there are also a couple of excellent, more affordable picks that punch way above their class. Let's get into it. Number 5. Hisense 65 U6N. Okay, so the U6N is the budget-friendly fighter of the group, and in a lot of day-to-day watching, it does fine. Dialogue is clear, and the mid-range has enough presence that news, sitcoms, and YouTube don't feel hollow. With Dolby Atmos and DTS Virtual X processing, you get a touch of spatial lift, and with theater preset engaged, it can sound fuller than expected for the price. You know, that hey, not bad moment when you're watching a car chase and the low end kicks just enough to keep you engaged. But well, this is where the limits show. The soundstage stays glued to the panel, so effects don't wrap around the room. Rain and overhead cues that Atmos promises tend to vanish, and height never really materializes from the basic 2x10 watt setup. Bass is more thump than depth, and when things get busy, like crowded action sequences, the mix can flatten. It's clean, just not big. Honestly, even a modest soundbar will unlock what the picture deserves here. Across testing, we noticed that at moderate volumes, voices stay intelligible, but pushing loud can make the top end a bit sharp, not distorted, just a little glassy, so you'll likely back it down and tweak presets to taste. In theater, dialogue hangs in a nice pocket, but overhead cues in Atmos-heavy scenes, think pounding rain or flyovers, rarely rise above suggested rather than immersive. That's the speaker hardware more than the processing. Number 4. Hisense 65 U8QG. Jumping up a tier, the U8QG sounds immediately bigger and more ambitious. This is a 4.1.2 channel, 72 watt speaker system with genuine height and side dispersion, plus room calibration via the remote mic to tune to the space. First impressions? Spacious, confident, surprisingly cinematic for a TV. You'll hear effects step outward, the dialogue pocket stays crystal clear, and, I actually double-checked whether my surrounds were on. That's how much the image detaches from the panel when it's doing its thing. But it's not flawless. The built-in sub can rattle on low-frequency heavy soundtracks, especially on bass-boosted settings or with wall mounting, so you may find yourself dialing bass boost down or even disabling the sub in the advanced menu to avoid that, what's that buzz moment during blockbuster scenes. It's not every title, and regular TV or sports are fine, but action epics can trigger it. That said, after a few tweaks, and maybe a small standoff from the wall, the overall result is still lively and immersive. What impressed me was the sense of height in Atmos. Overhead cues don't just hint, they show up. Raindrops and aircraft have directionality, and the TV projects into the room with confidence. Voices are well separated from background score, preserving clarity even when the mix gets dense. For built-in TV audio at this price, that's rare air. Music playback, vocals sit forward and clean, and there's a decent stage, though bass texture can go from punchy to a little boomy if bass boost is cranked. 3. LG G4. The G4's claim to fame is picture, but on sound, it's better than earlier LG OLEDs, while still, a bit on the lean side out of the box. The 4.2 channel system plus AI Sound Pro can virtualize up to an 11.1.2 field, and in cinema mode it perks up. Jet engines rumble with credible bass, highs stay crisp without harshness, and there's a touch of height in Atmos that's engaging, especially for a panel this thin. Standard mode, though, can sound flat and thin, especially for movie bass, and needs a few clicks up the volume to breathe. Switch to Cinema or AI Sound Pro, and the stage widens. Dialogue carves out more space, and those atmospheric cues, wind, rain, crowds, become easier to place. It still won't knock pictures off the wall, but it stops sounding TV-ish, which is the point. Where the G4 impresses is coherence. Voices remain anchored, panning is clean, and even at higher volumes, it doesn't devolve into hash or buzz. Bass is controlled rather than booming, which makes long viewing sessions easier on the ears. Some competitors push a bigger low end straight from the panel, but at the expense of clarity. The G4 stays tidy, even if it's not the most muscular. Would I pair it with a soundbar? Yeah, most home cinema fans will, and LG's Wow Orchestra with compatible LG soundbars adds finesse and scale in a way that honestly transforms the experience. 2. Sony K75 XR90 Bravia 9. Sony went big here, a 2.2.2 channel system with frame tweeters and upfiring beam tweeters that add genuine height and widen the soundstage. The result? Spacious, articulate, and among the clearest dialogue performances on any TV right now. With tracks like Blade Runner 2049, rain actually lifts and falls, voices occupy real 3D space, and the whole presentation projects confidently into the room without sounding strained. Bass is the one area where Sony plays it safe. It's controlled more than thunderous. That restraint means you don't get the same hit as a dedicated sub, but you also don't get cabinet buzz or boom. Dynamics are kept tidy, and distortion stays off the table even at volume. It's very Sony, musical, sophisticated, and believable rather than showy. Dialogue enhancement via Voice Zoom 3 is subtle and effective, boosting intelligibility without crushing the rest of the mix. Calibration for the height channels is automatic during setup, and it genuinely tailors the bounce for the room, so those Atmos moments feel properly positioned. It's one of those, oh wow, that's actually working features you forget is a trick because it sounds natural. For mixed content, sports, dramas, streaming, the consistency stands out. Nothing shouts, nothing collapses, and even in complex sequences, instrument separation and effects placement hold together. If a soundbar is coming later, fine. If not, this is among the best integrated solutions for clarity and spatial realism. 1. Panasonic Z95, Z95A. This is the one where, you sit back and go, okay, that's a soundbar in there. Panasonic stuffs a Technics-tuned 5.1 2-channel, 160-watt system into the frame, front, side, and upfiring drivers, plus a built-in sub and passive radiators. And the payoff is huge. Loud, clean, and genuinely enveloping, with Atmos height that feels real and bass that has proper weight for a TV. Dialogue stays laser-focused even as effects whip around, and there's headroom to spare. No wheeze, no cabinet chatter, just confident scale. Space-tune calibration via the remote mic tightens bass and evens the room response, and sound focus can literally shift the sweet spot off-center, pinpointing audio to a far seat or widening it for a sofa. It's nerdy cool and surprisingly practical for real rooms where not everyone sits dead center. What makes it special isn't just volume, it's the dynamic control. Big hits land without smearing the mid-range, quiet moments float with texture, and the system transitions smoothly across scenes. Rain sounds like it's above, engines rumble below, and the front soundbar section anchors voices with real authority. If the top priority is built-in sound that feels like an integrated home cinema, this is the class leader. Are there limits? Sure. Separate subs dig deeper, separates image more precisely in large rooms, but among TVs, the Z95 is the one that feels complete out of the box. No cable spaghetti, no extra boxes, just plug in, calibrate, and enjoy. Final thought. So here's the vibe. The Hisense U6N is a budget champ that sounds fine for everyday content, but begs for a soundbar in cinematic moments. The U8QG brings legit height and scale, just tame that sub, making it a surprisingly cinematic TV on its own. LG's G4 keeps things clean and controlled, better in cinema and AI Sound Pro, but truly sings when paired with a bar.